Yo, people, what we saying, what we spraying, back again with another About the Fan, and this time we have managed to find another Arsenal fan. We love a little Arsenal to Arsenal. It's always a great thing, and what a big Arsenal fan we've managed to catch today. You know what I'm saying? But before we get into any of that, make sure you're hitting the like button as early as possible. We need to get as many Shinobi inside the building checking out the show. Make sure you're subscribing to the village hidden in the north, but also subscribing to Egal's channel. It is in the title. It is also in the description. There is no excuses why you don't go and support the brother man on his journey to 50k. Let's get him to 50k this year, and hit the post notification so whenever I go live or drop a video, you're notified. So, as a reminder, those of you that have watched the show before know, but all the newcomers, unfortunately, I cannot interact with the chat due to the structure of the show. This will be a podcast on Spotify as well. What makes sense for the people now on the stream will not make sense for people listening back on Spotify. So any questions that you do have for Egal, please feel free to super them in. And at the end, he will answer all questions that are asked. So look, I've alluded to it. I've said his name a few times. We got Egal. Yeah. What a guy. This guy, hardworking. He's been everywhere. And even before I jumped onto this YouTube football talking thing, I used to watch him religiously. Yeah, he's massive on social media. He's doing his thing on YouTube. One of the most known Arsenal fans out there on the internet. Make sure we're showing some love to brother man Egal. How you doing, man? You're on mute, by the way. You're on mute. You're mute.
Come on, bro. I'm humble, man. I'm not that big. Don't act like I'm Troops or Babs or something. I'm just another guy on this social media thing, just trying to give their opinion about the team that they like. You know what I mean? But you know what it is? I appreciate all the nice words, all the kind words, and yeah, man. Let's get into it. There's a lot to talk about. And one thing I'll say is anybody who wants to do something, you just need to do it. You don't need to overthink it. You don't need to overdo it. Because the way I started YouTube, bro, it was literally hilarious. Like I was just bored one day and I was just like, yo, I don't have nothing going on. I'm like, I was my wife, I moved over to UK for my wife. I was still waiting for my work permit and everything. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with my time? And I just started calling in Sunny TV, started calling in the Terrace, and then it got to a point where I was basically running Sunny TV. And then now, once he sold his channel, the people who took over his channel basically said, yo, just come work with us. You're never going to do your own channel. You're never going to make, like, it's easier for you to just work with us. And now I have a channel bigger than the channel that they have.
Hey, then that's why, we call you one of the big Arsenal YouTubers out here in the world, man. You made it happen. See, people, like Egal said, if there's something that you want to do, just go and do it. It doesn't even need to be in the YouTube space. It can be anything. So any dreams you got, just go and chase them, man.
And you know what? Everything doesn't always have to be perfect. You don't have to have the best setup. I started on YouTube on a broken MacBook.
Broken MacBook and a dream, and look where we are today. Yeah, man. Never let anything stop you, from doing what you want to do, man. Like, even me myself, I've made like excuses over the years for not doing things that I probably should have done. And then, like you said, one day I just said, look, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. There were so many people that were just telling me, yo, Hooks, man, you need to stream. You need to stream. And I'm like, what about this? What about that? What about if no one comes? Like, there's so many things that was holding me back. But one day I just went, you know what? Let me just listen to people, and I'm here now, getting to swing it with the big dogs. And yeah, man, it's if anything, use me as evidence that you don't actually need to be somebody to go and do something. So yeah, man. And obviously, I appreciate you giving me your time as well. And obviously, this is going to be put on Spotify as well as a podcast. And people don't always listen to the end. So let's get it out right away, real early. Where can people find you?
Egal Talks Football. You can find me on Egal Talks Football on TikTok. You can find me Egal Talks Football on YouTube. You can even search Egal Talks Football on Instagram. The only place where it's different is on Twitter. It's EGTV Egal. I did have an Egal Talks Football account, but it got taken down. So it's like it is what it is.
All right, cool. So usually, yeah, I just jump right into a show starter question, but because you're here, yeah, I thought there would be something that would be real good to get your perspective on, and I feel like it will be good for the listeners as well. So I believe, yeah, that the Arsenal fan base online is very divided. Yeah, very different from the match day going fans or the fans that just support the club behind the scenes, don't really do anything on social media. I feel there's a very massive divide. I feel like you either have to be super positive all the time or super negative all the time. I feel like you're put into a box. Yeah. And that makes people like myself who I'm usually in the middle, but I will sway either side depending on what happens. And then obviously I get called a flip flop. I get told I wear sandals, all of that stuff. Why do you think our online fan base is so divided, and what do you make of it?
I think it's just a product of having a large fan base. You're going to have a large, vast majority of different opinions. Really and truly, there's people who are influenced by certain people's opinions, be it positive or negative. There's the people like Julian who are extremely positive at all times. Ty, there's people who are in the middle that are going to be balanced, and they're going to basically say it as it is, as they feel at that time. And more or less, the people who are in the middle also follow public opinion, I would say. The more and then the people all the way on like the league on the north side are just extremely pessimistic and are always looking at the negatives about everything about the club, and they're not really looking at the grand positives or even realizing how good a team we currently are. I think it's very toxic, and with every large fan base, you're gonna have a little bit of toxicity. That's why I think the only cure to a divided fan base is for your team to actually get the job done and start winning, because then there is nothing to really be negative about. If you're winning, you're gonna have a little bit more of a connected fan base. You're gonna have a little bit more of a collective that's there disagreeing. But then, even then, look at Real Madrid. They're winning Champions League after Champions League, and they're still booing Bale. So it I think one thing, there's no divine right to win in sports. And I think football is a sport where I feel like fans believe more than ever they have a divine right to every year be in the mix to win it, because they spend a certain amount of money, or they have a certain amount of ticket sales, or they have a certain amount of stature in the club. But really and truly, it doesn't matter how big of a club you are, you don't have a divine right to win every year. Bayern Munich lost the league recently, and it was an absolute disgrace in their opinion. But they've won like 15. Surely, 1 year where you don't win the league is, or you don't win any trophies, it's not the end of the world. But I come from a different mentality. I come from a background where my sports teams are the Blue Jays, the Maple Leafs, and the Raptors, and it's like those guys have not had too much success in my lifetime. Like the Blue Jays won twice in my lifetime. The Raptors won once in my lifetime, and that was recent, like 2017, I think. And then the Maple Leafs haven't won since 67. So it's like, so it's like I kind of grown up around a lot of sports teams that were losing a lot. So maybe I have a little bit more patience than everybody else. But yeah, I do think it comes from a background. I do think coming from a North American background, I have a little bit more patience with sports teams than others do. And maybe I'm a little bit more grateful of the situation we currently find ourselves in, being in the mix, because I was very young when we were first in the mix. 2004, 2003, 2004 was what I was 12. So just
Fairly
goes to
young.
show you the difference.
Do you understand though, like why there is like mass frustration within the Arsenal fan base though? Because I I understand from one I understand the point of Arsenal have been, well, speaking purely Premier League now, Arsenal have been in the mud for quite a long time. We haven't been able to win the league since 2004. And we are one of the teams in England that, if we was to like put all trolling aside and all banter aside, with the third best team in English history. Like that's no shadow of a doubt. Like that's just statistically to then go from being the third best and winning things regularly, be it as it may, we wasn't winning things every season, but we'd never gone this long without winning the English major to now I don't even know when we will win it again. Like I can go into every season comfortably saying, "Cool, we're gonna challenge for it," because Arteta has brought us back to that. That's something that I have to give him props to. Every season, I can go in now saying, "Okay, we're gonna challenge for it," but I can't say when we're gonna win it. Do you understand why maybe fans of, because there's different generations, right? So if you're talking to someone who didn't witness our last league win, they're probably not as impatient as an Arsenal fan from our generation who watched us win 3 Premier Leagues within 7 years. And then if you go back to even the generation before me, they've seen not only Premier Leagues, but they've also seen European glory. They've also seen the English League, what it used to be, glory. Can you understand why there is such high levels of frustration within the fan base?
Bro, I fully understand why there's frustration. And don't forget, I've been doing this for a while now, speaking to people on YouTube. So I have spoken to all sorts of people. RIP Kenny Ken. I spoke to him numerous times about football. RIP Kevin Campbell. I spoke to him numerous times about football and how it was back then and how it is now. I spoke to Melvin. I spoke to Kenny Ken. I've spoken to so many different people that are older than me about Arsenal and just what's been going on for the longest time. So I get that there's year in year out. It's like it's going to be our year. It's going to be our year, and then it doesn't become our year. So there's growing level of frustration with 20 years plus of not winning a league. That is going to happen, but I don't think that is the way I want to support my team. I don't want to be the guy who's always looking at what is not going to happen and instead look at what can happen. Because if I work in a world where uh, I'm always manifesting us losing, then when we ultimately lose, why would I be shocked?
Yeah,
Why would I? It almost comes as like a defense mechanism. I feel like for Arsenal fans, I don't feel like they genuinely want the team to lose, but they say to themselves, "We're not going to get over the line," because in their heart of hearts, they're trying to they're trying to make themselves feel better if and when it doesn't happen, because then they can say I predicted it, or I already knew it, or for example, when you're going to concede a goal, people are like, I just knew we are going to concede.
yeah,
Really and truly, you don't know we're going to concede. You just are preparing yourself for the eventuality in the case that we do concede a goal. And it's like similar to when we get knocked out of a cup competition. People are like, oh, I just knew we're going to get knocked out. That maybe you had a feeling, but really and truly, the main reason why certain people are pessimistic or feel this type of way is because of how many years it's been. And I do feel like Arsenal at the Emirates in the Emirates era has been a shell of its former self. We were a big club at Highbury. At the Emirates, we've not been a big club. What's the difference between what we are doing and what, I hate to say it, Tottenham have been doing in the time that we've been at the Emirates?
I it's hard to say, but I hear it. I do
Like,
hear it. I
I
do
know
hear
we
it.
picked up FA Cups I know we picked up FA Cups, but that's not why people move to the Emirates, and that's the real reason why there's the main frustration. No league titles, no Champions League in our club's history, and we don't even win the League Cup. Like,
Yeah, we haven't since 1993. It's been a very long time since we've
bro,
won
I
the.
was 1 years old when we last won the League Cup.
Yeah, I was too. Yeah, I was too. So I do, and I mean, look, we're in a good position to change that this year. You know, touch wood. You know that we're able to make that happen because I feel like
So you're born
probably
the same year as me. You're 91.
yeah. I'm 91. I'm 91. I'm
Yeah,
91.
so I was two also.
Yeah, 91 baby. You know, big up all the 91 babies out there in the chat.
Let's get it.
So yeah, I think that winning this Carabao Cup could potentially be a catalyst for us to go on and win the league because if the players are able to lift that trophy mid-season, it will give them that kind of boost to go on and push even more. Whereas on the flip side, if we went to the final and we lost in the final, I think that could be catastrophic for our season just from a mentality perspective. So the Carabao Cup is actually going to play a very massive part in what Arsenal are able to do this season. And I mean, just because you briefly touched upon it, it'd be good to know like what was it like being able to speak to like someone that's actually played for like a lot of people. Like he's pretty much a Arsenal legend to be fair, and Kevin Campbell, obviously RIP. Like what's that feeling like being able to talk to someone that plays for the club you support?
Bro, it was honestly an honor, and it's not the only time I've spoken to someone who has played for Arsenal. If I'm not mistaken, I've also spoken to some other people, but really and truly, it was never on the level of being on a podcast and speaking to them consistently. I spoke to Nigel Winterburn one time, also, but the Kevin Campbell and I, we spoke a lot, and it was very sad to hear when he passed, and everything about him, it was very sudden. Like, I know he was ill before, but he got through it, and the second time when it happened, it was really like sad to hear everything about it, because I thought we were going to also go on to win the league that year, and it would have been nice for him to see that. And it was just very emotional. But overall, the lessons, the first time we sat down and we spoke, he broke down everything that happened in Anfield 89. And he told me how the players were feeling, how he was feeling, how he was as one of the people on the team at the time, Anfield 89, just being like, I was an academy kid. I was there traveling with the team. He wasn't in the squad or anything like that. He also told me how it was like being in Europe, scoring goal for Arsenal in the European game, and just like Eddie Nketiah recently was the most recent player to do that, an Arsenal academy player to score a brace in a European game, and he was the first person to do that for Arsenal. And it was just an honor to meet everything and speak to him and just pick his brain about everything about Arsenal, man. Honestly, anytime you get an opportunity to sit down with such a former player or somebody who is looked at as like a memorable name in the Arsenal circles, it's nice. Obviously, he's not Henri or anything like that, but at the same time, to me, it was just such a massive honor, man.
Yeah. Hey, yes. I've the most that I've done is I remember one time I was in King's Cross and I was leaving work and I saw David Seaman was there and like I was like, oh my god, it's David Seaman. I had to get the photo. I had a little tiny little chat with him. There was so many people crowding him, but just meeting like Arsenal legends like that and just having the chance just to have a little conversation for someone that's deep into football is really an honor. So yeah, I completely understand
And
that.
you know what? He was the nicest guy. He always made time for everybody.
Yeah,
Like, I would honestly, I think if he was alive, he would have done an interview with you. He would have done an interview. He would have taken the time to get to know you. That's just the kind of guy he was, man. Honestly, it's sad that good die young, man. I know he wasn't. extremely young, but he was still young relatively to compared to what other people are.
Yeah,
And it's just sad to hear, man. The guy passed away so young.
yeah. So obviously, each and every time, R.I.P. Kevin Campbell. And now I got the little what if question for you, Egal. A little
All
what if
right,
question. Yeah, a little what if question. So
all right.
Arsenal have gone trophyless again. It was a crazy season.
We haven't done that yet.
No, but
Season-
hey, this is the what if. This is the what if, Egal. It was a crazy season. Somehow, Pep and City managed to win it. They turned it around, and Arsenal ended up finishing second again. Yeah, the
Yeah.
board is furious. Yeah, the board is furious. They have decided to hire you in as head of football everything. You have full control. No one will challenge you. Money is not an option. What are you doing in the summer to ensure the club wins the Premier League next season?
Hmm. First thing I'm doing is I am making sure that we go and make the right transfers in the January transfer window. I mean, in the summer. Is it January or summer? Is it right now or is it
Summer, because we would have lost the league.
okay? So first thing I'm doing is I'm trying to make the right decisions and put the right people in charge from the back, right? So I think what the mistakes we've made is not identify the right areas where we need to strengthen and not go and find the right players. So Arsenal scouts, I'm meeting with the scouts. I'm trying to see who they have, who they've identified as things. I'm giving Saliba a new contract, right? I'm giving Saliba a new contract. I'm giving Gabriel a new contract. I'm giving some of these players in the fringes in the team. I'm looking at them and I'm saying to them, who is actually here to stay and who actually wants to go. Like the Trossards, the Jesuses, and I'm going to the board and I'm saying I need 300 million.
Okay.
What I'm doing first thing, I'm going Alexander Isaac. I'm going I'm going Bruno Guimaraes. I'm rating Newcastle for two of their best players. Right? Number one, straight off the bat. Number two, I am going across the I'm going to the scouts and I'm saying who is the best left winger we can bring into this football club for the remaining money that we have to our disposal. If it means go and get Anthony Gordon, I think we could do better. If it means go get Lookman, I think maybe we could do better. Would it be Kvaratskhelia? Maybe. Would it be Rafael Leao? I'm not sold on him as much as I would be on Lookman or Anthony Gordon. Also, what else do we need? What other areas do we need help? We need defensive cover. Are we gonna go drop ridiculous money on another defender? Are we gonna find budget? I personally, if Newcastle don't get Champions League football, I would raid them for two or three of their players, if possible. What I would do is I would make it an effort to go and get the best players within the Premier League every single summer or every single January window when we can go and get some of the best players within the Premier League. I'm not gonna go for Kudus over Isaac or I would actually go for Anthony Gordon over Kudus right now. I think I would Bruno Guimaraes is the midfield signing that I would bring in, and I think he would complete our midfield. Imagine Bruno, Rice, and Odegaard. That would be a stupendous midfield. Forget about the Zubamendi talk. If Jorginho leaves, the person I would get to replace Jorginho, in my opinion, would be go and get somebody who has the ball playing ability, who's younger, that has scope to grow, and they can come up into that position. It doesn't necessarily have to be a ready made in every single position. The main priority is the attack. So go get me two top attackers, a midfielder, and I think we can go with the rest of them being squad players or fillers. The only people I would keep, Sterling's got to go, Jesus can go, Trossard can stay if Jesus goes. If Trossard leaves, Jesus can stay. The midfield, Partey or Jorginho, two of them are going to have to go, or one of them is going to have to go. the whole back line, Zinchenko, Kieran Tierney, Tomiyasu, they're gonna all have to go. So we're gonna have to get some squad depth, and the transfer is the main thing. Next, people think Arteta's a problem. Arteta's not the problem. Arteta doesn't trust the squad that's at his disposal because the squad construction from Edu and the people in charge has not been good enough. I think if I were to give Arteta Isaac, Bruno Gamares, and just one left winger who can bag 10 goals, not only am I putting pressure on him to deliver some silverware, I'm putting pressure on him to win either the league or the Champions League. And if he can't do it with those three players in the team, then I would be looking at Arteta as a potential replacement. Right now, another thing is the PGMOL and the refereeing decisions that have been happening this year in the Premier League. I'm doing I am looking into maybe finding a way to get these guys. I don't know if there's a psychologist or something in the team, a team psychologist or something, but I'm trying to improve my players' mental health and also their mentality. I'm getting somebody in there to speak to the players about like little things, because to try to control the fact that they don't get frustrated during games, or to fix that, because I do think it is important to have like a psychologist, a team psychologist in the team. And I don't think football has that to the same level as they do in other sports. So I would get a team psychologist. I would make sure that each player has like meetings to make sure that they can control their emotions during games and not let things get carried away. As I don't think we have necessarily a problem with that, but referees are gonna take anything that you do as disrespect. So you need to make sure you control yourself during the game, and kind of, I don't want people to be passive, but I still want them to have the mentality to go out there and fight every game. But at the same time, understand when to when to be calculated and when not to be calculated, and that can't be always taught, but it can be spoken. It can be spoken about and maybe guiding somebody in the right direction. So I don't think people speak about that enough. So forget about just the signings of players. I'm looking at signing psychologists for the team. I'm looking at signing the right scouts, and I think that's pretty much it. Everyone's gonna say, "Oh, I'm sacking Arteta" or anything like that. No, Arteta's not going nowhere. I think Arteta can win us major honors. I think Arteta is one of the main guys and one of the main driving forces in why the team has turned their fortunes around. And I'm building around Saka, Saliba, Odegaard, and this spine that we have, and just adding to it.
So even if Arsenal did go trophyless again, you would still think that the greater problem is that Arteta doesn't have the right, I guess, the right amount of quality players across the squad.
Yeah,
Opposed,
because even if we go trophyless, bro, I don't think we are that far off. Okay. So I think going and sacking Arteta and going and getting rid of 20 players that are key to this team would make no sense. We don't need too much to get over this line. Liverpool showed you today. Last year they did not do much besides just change the manager, and boom, they've gone on to go on win the league. You don't necessarily need to do 20 transfers sometimes, but in our situation, we lack the quality in the final third. We lack the quality in certain areas. So I'm addressing those areas, and I think with those areas being addressed, I think we go on to win it. One thing we've done as a club in the time that I've supported it, we've always been left short in certain key areas of our team, be it under Arsene Wenger, be it under Unai Emery, be it under Arteta. I always felt like we could have done better in the transfer window. I think just for once going out there and saying we need a striker, bang. We need a left winger, bang. We need a midfielder, bang. We need a defender who can cover many areas coming into this team, bang. That right there will solve so many issues. So many issues. You know what I would do? Actually, I would go, call me crazy. I would go and get Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Kivior, and Kieran Tierney, and I'll bin all of them. And I would go get Robinson from Fulham, and I would go get one of Nottingham Forest's what do you call it, center backs,
Yeah.
and I would run with that. And if it's not Nottingham Forest, I would go to Bournemouth and I'll grab that tall you who chill guy. I'll grab
Yeah. Yeah.
him and I'll make him our backup center back. And we just need two more defensive cover. Forget about Tomiyasu, forget about Kieran Tierney, forget about Zinchenko, forget about Kivior. If we can get rid of those four guys and bring in two solid that can potentially stay fit, Robinson could be one of the best left backs in the world. He's 27. Nobody wants him. It's crazy to me.
Potentially. Okay. So you still have the like full faith in Arteta's capability.
I don't have faith in our transfer strategies.
It's just okay. So for you, it's not so much the manager. It's the backing and I guess the vision of the people behind him that is more.
Do we have the ambition to go and get what needs to be done to win? And
Yeah.
I don't think we do. I think we go and we say to ourselves, what can we do with the budget that we have? It's almost like if you want to have a family dinner, but on a shoestring budget every summer. Like that's what it is. If you're gonna have I've planned events in my life. When I say major events like barbecues, sporting events, major group events with like thousands of people, there's certain areas where you cannot be cheap. The quality of the food, the quality of this, and I feel like Arsenal, the quality of our transfers has been where we have been cheap, and where we haven't been cheap is maybe giving the players that we're signing decent wages. How are we signing players that are not of the quality level that we really want, but yet we're still paying them same level that we'd pay somebody like I don't know. I can't give you an example off the top of my head, but Nicolas Pepe, we signed him for 72 million. We gave him really good wages, right?
Yeah.
Then you have a situation where we signed somebody like Jesus for 45 million. We gave him really good wages, right? But in the past, we've signed players like Mustafi, Xhaka, and all these guys, and we put them on reasonable wages also. And it's just like, do they really deserve it?
Yeah.
Before have they had the level of have they been proven? Not really. So Xhaka maybe is a bad example because he started to work out in the back end of his career. But in the past, for example, the 2016 to 2017 transfer window, where we brought in all those guys, for like Lucas Perez and stuff, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Instead of signing Lucas Perez, go and get somebody who's actually proven that can make a difference, because that could be the difference between us going on and winning the Europa League or something. Because you go and get Aubameyang in a couple years later, but he's cup tied.
Yeah. We could have even, instead of a Perez, we could have gone to looked at getting an Aubameyang in that season, along with like having a Sanchez and a Ozil the team at the time.
Imagine.
So
also, don't be stupid. If a player wants to leave, let them go.
Yeah.
Alexis Sanchez, 60 million to Man City, amazing deal for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Amazing deal for Arsenal. But instead, he ends up leaving for Mkhitaryan, which is really and truly cost us more in the long run because we need to get rid of Mkhitaryan. And guess what? Mkhitaryan is still playing now, winning trophies with Inter. So were we really we were the problem, not Mkhitaryan, because you build around a team with a proper midfield. Bro, what is Arsenal built around right now? Our defense.
Yeah. And Saka.
And Odegaard. But if we are capable to have two areas of the pitch where we are one of the best in the league, we're winning the league.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, if you have two areas of the pitch where you're better than majority of your opponents, you're winning most of the games. Your attack can be poor, but if you have a good midfield and a good defense, you're going to go on to win majority of your games. If you have a good attack and a good midfield, you can carry your defense in certain games and potentially still win league titles and cups, right? Man City won numerous league titles with a shaky defense and a solid midfield and attack. Recently, they've won numerous league titles with an amazing midfield and a good defense with no striker. And then last year, a couple of years, they won the Champions League with a solid defense, solid midfield, and a solid striker. You just need. I know it's tough to explain to compare it to Man City, but teams have shown that you can have deficiencies in your squad and still win major honors. But
Yeah.
Arsenal, the reason why we don't win is because we don't have the ambition to address all the issues, but we try to find cheap solutions. You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
If you pay for low quality, you're gonna get low quality. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly, but I get everything that you're saying. I mean, I just mean, just as an Arsenal fan, because it's something that I've never really seen us do. It's always hard to believe that we will go on and do it. I mean, in a perfect world, I would love nothing more than for us to go, even in this January window. We need a striker, we need a left winger, we need a 10 that you're more than comfortable to rotate with Erdegaard, and at a stretch, we need maybe one more defensive upgrade. But that's only because Tomiyasu's forever injured. Now, I don't
Yeah,
think we'll do
he's
all of that. I don't think we'll do all of that. And I guess this is where, obviously, in the scenario that I proposed to you, where I mean, and hey, I would love for you to be the football of everything, because it sounds like we think along the same lines and you get stuff done. But what we have right now, I don't think we're going to do any of that. So I guess that's where the difficulties of supporting Arsenal comes, because every fan knows that if we just addressed things in the right way, we would do great things, but we just never address things in the right way. And I think
even
that's
if you're gonna keep us short and you don't go and sign a defender, if you go out and get 3 players of quality, this
yeah,
team is transformed into not only a title winning side, but a feared European outfit in every
yeah,
aspect. We need
yeah,
2 attackers and a midfielder and potentially some defensive cover. Don't get me the defensive cover. We go another year with what we have in defense, but you go and get me Isaac, Anthony Gordon, and like Bruno Guimaraes, or you get me Lookman, Isaac, and Zubimendi, something of quality, bro. We're still cooking.
100%, 100%. I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
And you know another thing, we make mistakes because other clubs utilize their transfer windows a lot more ruthless wise.
Yeah,
Like Chelsea, they'll sign a player, bin them off quick, reinvest. Arsenal, we mess up, we're keeping that player. We're trying to fix him. We're trying to find a solution. We're trying to ease that player back into the squad after they got injured. And it's like other clubs just go and get a replacement.
yeah,
Reece James constantly injured, go get Malagusto.
yeah,
Go get
yeah,
what do you call it? Michaela Mudrik's not working, go get Neto.
yeah.
You know what I
But
mean?
yeah, Chelsea have always done that though. So
Go get
Chelsea actually have
Sancho.
Chelsea have a really good like
As much
transfer.
as I hate on Chelsea, eventually you're gonna get it right if you keep trying to solve your problems. Arsenal, we stop.
Yeah,
We stop calling. We stop. People saying, Egal, you capitulate. You never call this out. I do call it out. You just maybe don't watch all my content. The majority of
yeah,
the time, I'm caught into conversations arguing with people about something ridiculous that they've said rather than the actual problems that's at hand. We don't necessarily speak about the problems at hand. I've said numerous times I thought Eddie was the problem, and I never thought Arteta was the main issue. I thought the transfer window, it comes down to 2 things: one, negotiations, and two, an inability to identify the problem and try to fix it properly.
yeah. And I've heard you say this many a time, so I know it to be the case. But we've spoken a lot about the current, yeah. But what about your journey as an Arsenal fan? How did it start? Why did you choose Arsenal? And I guess over your period of being an Arsenal fan, has there been a period where maybe you've questioned the decision that you made to become an Arsenal fan?
First of all, I became an Arsenal fan in the late '90s. Right? There was something. There was a World Cup in France, '89. France won the World Cup. I was watching football, and that's what really got me started to watch football. Sorry, my little boy's there. So that's I'm not relaxed. That's what really got me to start watching football. '98 World Cup, and Zidane was one of my favorite players at the time because I seen him watching the World Cup. And when I was watching football back then, I wasn't able to watch too much of the games. I wasn't able to watch all the FA Cup, League Cup games, but I would catch a Premier League game here and there. And whenever I did catch a Premier League game, the players I recognized were actually on Arsenal. Arsenal players were the ones that recognized. Arsenal were the games that I was watching, and I have family who'd also watch, and they'd be watching Arsenal. Now, don't get me wrong, my dad specifically was not somebody who was massively a football fan, but the way I got into it was just by coincidence because he was a massive fan of watching the World Cup. So that's how I got into football, and through the connection with the French national team, that's how I got connected to Arsenal. And from there, when I seen Patrick Vieira, he's the main reason why I watch Arsenal today. Because I recognized him for the French team and I recognized him for Arsenal. And Patrick Vieira is the main connection that I have with Arsenal. So that's who basically introduced me to Arsenal. Right. Now, the person who took that and ran with it was Henri. Henri doing what he was doing for Arsenal, I resonated with that. Seeing a lot of black players on the Arsenal team, I resonated with that. And also not being from the UK and not really understanding the rules or anything like that, I'll just watch it and I'll be like, Arsenal was probably more entertaining for me to watch than majority of other games. And just whenever you see the highlights on Sports Center or you see the goals or you see whatever was going on, Arsenal was the most attractive one that I'd watch. So I love that factor of it, and that's how I really got connected to it. Now, don't get me wrong, from '98 to like 2005, people tried to change me. There's people. There's my uncle who's a Chelsea fan bringing me Shevchenko shirts, trying to bring me Drogba shirts, and I'm like, take this away from me. Go get me Rozovsky. And then and looking back at it, I'm basically asking him to return a Premier League legend shirt for a Rozovsky shirt. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of
It's crazy,
crazy.
but you support, right? You support
Yeah.
you.
And then you got my and then when I go visit family in either Somalia or Djibouti or even I even have family in Ethiopia, right? Whenever I go visit anybody, they're always Arsenal. Everyone's always Arsenal. You see them wearing an Arsenal shirt. You see them wearing one of the just the red shirts with the badge on it. You see everyone was supporting Arsenal. My family was mostly Arsenal, Arsenal, Arsenal. There's a couple Chelsea fans here and there, and the Chelsea fans always try to corrupt you. But the main thing was mostly Arsenal. So, and I don't know if you know, there's a big Somali community in Northwest.
Yeah.
So in Northwest, there's always a big Somali community, and I got a lot of family and friends in Northwest London. So Halsden specifically, to be in fact. So whenever you'd visit, everything would be about Arsenal also. So there you go. Really good connection, and yeah, I just feel like that is the main reason why I'm connected with Arsenal. And could have gone the wrong way, could have been Chelsea, and the only way I ever really ever I never contemplated, but they did try to convert me into a Chelsea fan, which I never took. They're like, why are you being Arsenal? Arsenal don't win things. They're trying to make me into a Chelsea fan. I'm like, yo, fly. And that's really why I have more disdain for Chelsea than Tottenham, because I never grew up around any Tottenham fans. I never met a Tottenham fan until I came to the UK. I'd never knew a single Tottenham fan my whole entire life, ever. I only knew Chelsea fans. I would be in school. Luca would be bringing his Drogba shirt. You'd see James Park wearing his Man United shirt. You could probably tell why it was his last name being Park. And then you have myself coming around with the Arsenal, and a lot of my friends who are Somali also support Arsenal. and their uncles support Arsenal. Yeah, man. It's unfortunate that I didn't get to watch it as religiously as I do now. When I was younger, maybe I would have a better understanding about it. But a roundabout way, I've been supporting Arsenal since the World Cup, and I started watching it like without missing a game. I would say uh early early 2000 mid 2000s till now.
And you've been to the stadium, right?
Yeah, my first visit to the stadium was in 2012.
2012. Okay, so what was it like being because obviously, well, I don't know, you may still refer to yourself as an international fan, but you definitely started off as an international fan and you were supporting Arsenal from Canada. And
My first game that I went to was Alexis Sanchez just got transferred to Man United. We played Crystal Palace at home and we won 4-1.
what was that feeling like being a fan who wasn't went from not being able to watch all the games early on to then being more exposed to then being able to go to the Arsenal stadium for the first, like, what was that feeling like?
Bro, I don't think you guys realize how much of a difference being connected to the club is away from the UK. Being away from the UK, social media and YouTube really made my life so much easier because I don't have enough people in my life to speak to about Arsenal. I don't have enough people to speak to about football with. I don't have enough friends that were into football. So being able to go and see the stadium, to see the Henri statue, to go and take a picture in front of Dennis Bergkamp, to go to an actual game, to watch Arsene Wenger, and to see a Wobie score a goal, to see Ozil live, or to see Alexis. I didn't even get to see Alexis. To see these players live was really amazing. And I also have to big up AFTV because Arsenal Fan TV and just YouTube in general kept me informed about how fans actually felt. Up until that point, I had no idea how other Arsenal fans felt. I had
Yeah,
no idea other Arsenal fans were frustrated or were happy or were upset. All I knew is the result that happened and how I felt. You know what I mean? And how my immediate friends felt. So social media really connected me with the club, but going to the stadium was like, I would just say it's like it felt like a celebration of like a long time coming. Just felt like a celebration to me. And it was a special moment because it was like my wife, my future wife. I went with her. So she took me to the game. She got tickets, and I didn't realize how bad the ticket process was until I got here. That is ridiculous. Like
yeah,
if you go to North America and you want to watch a basketball game, you just pay money, you go to the game. It's not that simple here. You could have all the money in the world.
yeah,
Unless you have some sort of connections or you have a membership or you have something, trying to get tickets face value is almost ridiculous.
yeah. And then you get priced out, and there are other ways to get tickets, but the ballot system is, I think, it's destroyed like fans' chances of getting games. I remember
You
the
could have a
20
membership and still not get tickets because of the ballot system. It's so stupid.
yeah, every game I went to last season, because I didn't renew my membership this season because of how a bad experience that I had last season. But every ballot that I went into last season, I was unsuccessful, and every game I went to last season wasn't because of my membership. It was because of my friend. My friend's like, "Yo, I got a ticket. Do you want to come?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, cool." Because obviously I was struggling, like just going into the ballot and then just getting that email pop. Oh, sorry, you've been unsuccessful. It's like a dagger to the heart. So yeah, the
100.
the ballot system is I don't know what's going on with Arsenal with that, but that's definitely something that they need to fix within the club. I can't lie. Maybe the
They ruined the atmosphere with the ballot system.
yeah, that as well, but I think that's intentional, so you can't get like big sections of people kind of like sharing their opinion in the game about the ownership. That's why I believe that they did it. But the maybe the expansion of the stadium that they're
Do you
planning to
think
do.
Ashburton Army made a thing about the ownership?
um so not Ashburton Army specifically. Like the Ashburton Army, like I feel like the Ashburton Army was Arsenal's section of what old football fans used to be like at stadiums. Like that's the kind of atmosphere that they was creating. But obviously, because Arsenal want to make more money, yeah, because it's driven by revenue. Because they want to make more money, they're trying to make the stadium more family friendly. And making the stadium more family friendly means that, you know, me as a fan, maybe I'll go there with my wife, with my three kids. That's 5 tickets I've bought, and now it's not only the 5 tickets that I've bought as a family. It's now cool. I'm going into the stores and I'm buying stuff for my kids because my kids are gassed, and maybe I'm buying more. I'm buying a lot of food because I got to buy for multiple people. Like I feel like they've really tried to push like the family friendly and the kind of touristy kind of element, because even though I love international fans, the one thing we have to appreciate is when an international fan comes over to watch the game, it's like a monumental moment for them. So they don't just buy the ticket and watch the game. They go into the store and they splash out. Like they proper splash out. They're buying memorabilia, buying gifts, buying the hoodies, buying everything. Whereas when I go to the stadium, because it's just down the road for me, I'm not going to go to the game and buy stuff because I can go and buy stuff anytime because it's just round the corner, right? Whereas the match day going fan from abroad is going to splash. Like, whereas I'll go there and maybe spend £20, £30 max. They're spending like close to like £800 to £1,000 just on that one session. So the club definitely makes more money from the more family friendly, international touristy kind of vibe. And I feel like that's why over the years they've limited the amount of
You think that, but it's very difficult for us to get tickets.
It is. It's just as difficult.
If you don't know how to get tickets as an Arsenal fan that's coming to visit, really and truly, you need to plan your flight. You need to plan your tickets. You need to plan how you're going to get to the stadium. You need to basically, you're going to a foreign nation just to figure out how to get to a game. Sometimes I don't think people realize there needs to be like an you need to explain it to some people how to get tickets.
Yeah.
If you have people who can get you tickets or know how to get tickets, it's a completely different story. But like getting a membership, getting signed up, getting your ballot accepted, getting a ticket from the ballot. If you don't get a ticket from the ballot, being on the exchange, keep trying to refresh to get a ticket.
Yeah.
It's not something you're going to be able to do as a foreign fan if you're not familiar with the system.
100%, 100%. But even people over here struggle with the system as well. So no, I definitely hear it. So look, you briefly touched upon it. You spoke a bit about Henry and Vieira. I found out only after asking you they are your favorite Arsenal players of all time. Why is that?
Vieira is the reason why I'm an Arsenal fan. Vieira is the guy who connected me with Arsenal. So it's very simple as that. And Henry was one of the most aesthetically pleasing players I've ever watched, and just made the game so much more fun to enjoy and sit back and relax. In the recent days, the most entertaining player I've enjoyed was not Alexis; it was actually Santi Cazorla.
Yeah.
And Santi Cazorla was one of those guys who he glided past people and kind of reminded me of like Arsenal of old. But yeah, I could even put Cesc in there, but Cesc went to Chelsea, so I don't like him for that. But, but it's not in his control. We should have really brought back Cesc, even with Ozil in the team.
Yeah.
We should have brought back Cesc.
That was a Wenger L. I can't lie. That was one of the few Wenger L's I think that he had.
But, I know, but Wenger had this thing where he's like, if you leave, you're not coming back. Just bring him back.
He did. In all fairness, I think one of the only players that
Henry.
Yeah, Henry I think Henry's the only player that left Arsenal that actually came back during the Wenger era. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe, off the top of my head at least. So no, I hear that. So look, in their prime, yeah, you can pick any one of them, Vieira or Henry. Who are you bringing back into this current Arsenal?
Henry, we need goals. Simple. What are we doing? We need goals. If Henry in this team, we win the league, bro. Easy. Easy.
Oh man, yeah. Sometimes I guess whenever Henri's there, it's just that simple, right? Like I'm pretty sure there's even fans from other teams that would say, "I just give me Henri, man. I really need Henri. He is."
Yeah.
If I could create just a machine that could just make him infinitely beat in his prime. Oh,
Henri would be beating Erling Haaland to a golden boot every year, bro. What are we talking about?
uh,
Imagine Henri in today's day and age where the defenders are not allowed to touch him.
Because when Henri was doing all the madness, it was at a time when players were like football was a lot more of a contact sport. Yeah, it was a lot more of a contact sport. So him now, yeah, it would actually be crazy. It would actually be super crazy. I won't lie. So look, Egal, final question from me. Yeah, final question from me.
Yeah.
What does being a fan mean to you? And could you imagine a world without Arsenal?
What does being a fan mean to me? Being a fan means to me supporting the team through hard times and the good times. You cannot be here and be a fair weather fan. Being an actual hardcore fan, you're there when you lose 3-0 to Aston Villa at home, or you're there when you lose to Chelsea in the Europa League. You're there when you lose 8-2 to Man United. You're there when you lose 6-0 to Chelsea. You're there. Not just when we're winning FA Cups, not just when we're doing things that are really good. Are you there? So being a fan is there through the tough times and being there through the good times. And you don't have to accept everything. You don't have to agree with everything, but you're still there supporting. Now, the way you support can be being upset. The way you support can be being happy. But I think the worst person is the person who switches off and just says, "You know what? I'm not gonna even watch it. I'm not even gonna care about it. I'm just gonna go on with my life and just if they do well, I'll start checking it out, start going to games again." Because I feel like those are the ones that they have the luxury to switch off because they don't care as much, but they're not fans. They're maybe just they support it on the side.
Yeah,
There's a difference between a diehard fan and a supporter. I think supporters can switch off mentally and just forget about it. And then there's people who will be a fan and continuously think about it. Like my day's ruined if Arsenal lose.
yeah,
My weekend can be ruined if Arsenal lose. I think I could think about it for like 3 days after the fact. Like the Everton day when we dropped points to Everton. That, I was thinking about that for a couple days.
yeah, yeah.
So
I
yeah.
still think about it now.
Maybe it's not healthy for fans to have their emotions connected to it, something that they can't control. But at the same time, I think that's what a fan is.
Yeah. And a world without Arsenal, can you imagine it?
That's pretty much all I know right now. So I don't think that's possible. Like imagining a world without Arsenal is like I don't know what I would be. I don't know. No, just don't see it. It's a question I don't think about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I definitely hear it. I definitely hear it. Well, Gal, thank you for giving me your time today. I've definitely enjoyed the conversation. I hope those that were in the chat enjoyed it as well, and all those that listen back on playback and on Spotify will enjoy it as well. Just make sure, people, on your way out, you're doing a few things for me. You're liking the video, you're subscribing to the channel, and you're also going over and subscribing and showing some love to Egal on all of his platforms. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you next time.